If you have a toddler or preschooler who's showing possible signs of autism or ADHD or speech delay, it can really be confusing to know which it is. Is it important to get a diagnosis and what you should do? So today we're talking about that. Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Barbera, autism mom, behavior analyst, and best-selling author. Each week, I talk about turning autism or signs of autism around. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do that now. So today, we are sharing a small excerpt from podcast number 207, where Kelsey General came on and asked me the top questions we get about the topic. Is it autism, ADHD, or speech delays? So let's get to that. But if I have a 2-year-old in front of me who is not talking, I am looking for pointing. I am looking for gestures, for showing, like bringing a stuffed animal to the parent. I am looking for the ability to sit, to attend, to sit, to eat. In my book, I talk about the fact that I didn't know this when I was writing the book, but like picky eating, extreme picky eating is actually one of the add-on potential signs of autism. Are they sleeping well? Are they eating fine? Are they addicted to a pacifier or a bottle? That would be a big red flag for me. Are they having tantrums? And like I said in the last answer, how is their receptive language? Are they touching body parts? Are they singing songs? Like not even singing songs, like just like if you're happy and clap your hands. Like a toddler who's not saying anything, if they're clapping on imitation, those are all really good signs. So in chapter 2 of Turn Autism Around, I have 10 potential signs of autism. I think I did a podcast on that as well. These are just some of the things I look for. Like you said, Kelsey, like awareness, checking in. Like when I had Spencer and brought him home from the hospital, Lucas was 18 months of age, just turned 18 months or about to turn 18 months. He was addicted to a pacifier. He had no idea that a baby was coming. A baby was in mommy's belly. Like that was not even, he was very darty. He was very hyperactive, wouldn't sit down, very addicted to the TV, wanted to watch the same Barney VHS tapes over and over again. And I write in my book that I literally could have brought a plastic doll baby home for the awareness. So those are, and a lot of this is from my experience, but it's also related to the hundreds or thousands of kids that I've directly assessed. And so those would be the top kind of signs for a 2-year-old. Now, if you're talking about a 3 or 4-year-old, then pointing is out the window because kids, then have to have other gestures. And I mean, if you have a child that's 3 or 4 and very, isn't touching body parts or isn't talking in phrases or sentences that aren't rote or aren't scripted, you could have that scripting from movies and stuff. That's echolalia. That is more into the autism side of things. But ADHD, somebody explained it once, and I don't know if this is how politically correct this is, but they basically said that, autism is a spectrum and ADHD is kind of on the edge of the spectrum. And so some kids can get diagnosed with very high functioning autism, but they've previously been diagnosed with ADHD or vice versa. They could have a diagnosis of ADHD before or around age 5. And then lo and behold, it's really autism. A lot of kids are diagnosed with all of these things, speech delay, autism, and ADHD in some kind of sequence. I remember asking Dr. Copeland, who I did do an interview with on this podcast, who diagnosed Lucas, like, what about adding additional diagnoses? And he basically said autism is the umbrella that covers hyperactivity and lack of focus and impulsiveness and speech delay and sensory processing. And he didn't feel the need to tack on a bunch of other diagnoses.
Yeah, and I think with ADHD, it's tricky because I think a lot of people think that ADHD is, oh, my child's running around and hyperactive and can't focus, and must be ADHD. But often, it's a lack of skills due to, autism or speech delays. And it's really, we'd have to ask a professional, but I think it's probably not as accurate of a diagnosis to look into ADHD for 2, 3, and 4-year-olds.
Yeah. I would kind of shake my head, unless there was really no speech delay or very little self-care. Now, I do want to point out that a month or two ago, we worked with a software company. We did a whole podcast on the Turn Autism Around assessment, which is one page in the book, page 49. We worked with a software company to get that digital. And so it's digital. You get scores in 3 areas: the self-care and daily activities, eating, sleeping, potty training, grooming, dressing, language and learning skills, language, receptive and expressive, as well as imitation and matching, and social skills. And then the 3rd area is problem behaviors, big problem behaviors, little problem behaviors, and everything in between. And what I'm seeing, like, my goal is to get these scores more validated, more fine-tuned. It is available for free, autismassessment.com. We can link it in the show notes. You can spread the word. If you're listening, you can do the assessment. I would definitely recommend you doing the assessment. And then watch the webinar that comes right after the assessment, and consider joining our online course, because we are dealing with all 3 things. Now, I will say that a few weeks ago, we had Caddy on the show, and she has a little boy named Santiago, who's only 3.5 now. She joined the course a year ago. She only had the diagnosis, and still only has the diagnosis, of a speech delay. And her pre-assessment, which she, kind of thought about what he was like when she joined the course. She had the documentation on paper that she was able to transfer in. So his self-care was actually pretty good, 60 or 70%. The lower the score, the worse, the symptoms are. So his self-care was pretty good, and his tantrums and problem behaviors were pretty good. Her only problem, really, the child's only problem at 2.5 was his speech score was 20%. Then fast forward a year. Now she's taken the toddler course. She added the verbal behavior bundle. She completed all the courses and did all the activities with really little help. Very little outside services at all. And now his scores in those 2 other areas that he wasn't delayed in are fine. And even his language score was at a 20%-ish. This isn't like real research at this point. This is just checking in to see, is the intervention changing? He went from 20% to 85%. So huge change. Never got the diagnosis of autism. Half the members in our toddler course don't even have the diagnosis. And I asked her on the podcast, you can listen to it. We'll link it in the show notes here. This is episode 207. So marybarbera.com/207 to get to all the show notes that I keep saying we're going to put in the show notes. It's going to be packed. But I asked her, like, did it upset you? Like, in the modules, I'm talking about autism, but I'm also talking about like signs of autism. It doesn't have to be autism. She's like, no, I needed help. I needed to find out what to do. So I think that the real key is, even if you think it's just a speech delay or you're on a waiting list, which the waiting lists are horrendous, 9 months to 2 years for an evaluation for autism, get in, start learning, start turning things around, whatever that looks like. And you can make progress. And so, you know, in the end, I think the intervention is going to be much more important than the actual diagnosis. I hope you enjoyed that small excerpt from podcast 207. If you did, if you'd like to listen to the whole episode, you can find the link in the description. And for more information about how you can join our online course and community, I would invite you to attend a free online workshop today at marybarbera.com/workshops, and I'll see you there.